Hey, it is noon. Um, Second day of the JumpStart Challenge. I'm so excited to be back with you today. This is one of my favorite days of the week, the mental game and mindset day. But we don't do this one on day one. I don't do this one on day one because we got to get into motion first, right? And we got to really set the stage for that energy to be in the right place. So I'm so happy that you're back today. I've gotten some really great feedback from you all. Thank you so much. I still need people to jump out and post and participate and share what they're doing to get into motion and priming their pump about their sprint goals. So if you get a chance to do that, I would absolutely love for you to share because it will help all of us really align with the JumpStart Challenge, the energy of this sprint. So for those who didn't get a chance to join us yesterday, we are jumpstarting a 90-day sprint in productivity and sales mojo. And we're going to make this our best quarter ever. We're also going to cruise in to the beginning of the year, really set ourselves up for success by giving it our all and taking the next 90 days to give it a particular focus, particular specificity, particular energy so that we can create the very best results. And here's the thing. I noticed yesterday I went home after work. I did actually 40 minutes of vigorous exercise. I actually took my dogs on a even more vigorous walk than I normally do. But I wouldn't necessarily I did that in the morning and I wouldn't have necessarily done it in the evening. So I was doubling up. And here's the thing I recognize is, I wasn't in the gym lifting weights yesterday and I didn't do a long run and I didn't do, I didn't jump on the bike and bike 7 miles or anything, but I knew that I needed to get going. And you've got to start where you're at, guys. So if you're already if you're already in motion, again, if you're already running marathons, then great. What is the next level for you? For me, I'm coming off the summer season. It's still pretty warm here. It's still very humid here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I love to exercise outside more than anything. But this weather is still I'm still not completely aligned, with the weather. I'm waiting for that crisp, cool breeze to kind of kick in. However, I know it's coming. And I know that physical activity is a huge part of my sprint. And so I'm going to get going anyways. And so I logged some points in for my team. I talked to you, our team does a fall fitness challenge that really kicks off in conjunction with this sprint. In part because we want the energy of the whole team to support what we're doing in sales and business development, right? Because we're in it together. And so this is not just an organizational thing. This is a personal thing. And we're all in it as a team together. I'm excited because you've decided to embrace this challenge with me. And so you're in it with me. And that encourages me. I feel more equipped. I feel emboldened to step forward into a positive future because here's what I know about the sprint. If this is your very first time sprinting and you didn't know anything about this before, then this is like your trial sprint in a way. It's like you're going to get, this is going to get easier and easier next spring. When you do this, the fall after, when you do this is going to start to become a rhythm to your year. And it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not have every workout be your very best workout ever. It's not, but what's not okay is staying stuck, right? What's not okay is expecting things to change, but not doing anything different. It's not okay to stay just wishing and fishing, honestly, because hope is not a strategy. I'm all for hope. I'm all for wishes and prayers, but I'm also all about putting some action underneath them. And I think that that is a very, very powerful combination when you get clear and then when you're taking continuous action towards your goals. And so, this is about sales, but we're starting way back with motion because what you think about, you bring about, and we have to get your mindset in the right place. We have to get the biochemical, engine in your body in the right place to support all of this highest and best energy. So it really is all working together. And my goal for you out of this Jumpstart is for you to have 3 very clear targets. We talked about not just 20 minutes of vigorous motion, but getting clear, starting to prime the pump on the targets. Here's the thing, guys. If you if your goals, maybe you're a goal setter, a list maker, not all goals are created equal. And I used to set goals that honestly came from what I thought they should be, like a headspace. I set goals that made sense, but they didn't really have resonance. We talked about this yesterday a little bit, and I promised we were going to talk some more about it today because the kinds of targets that you set forward in this sprint really matter. The way that you spend some time, thinking honestly about it, trying things on for size, seeing how it feels. Is it something that really has pull? Is it something that really has resonance? Is it something that is really compelling to you? Is it a reason to get up in the morning? Is it a reason to ride out the speed bumps or the wall kicking moments? Here's the thing. If you're passionate about what you're selling, if you're passionate about the service and product that you're bringing to the world, then all of that is going to be so much easier, right? We don't have to use willpower and discipline to address these targets in a 90-day sprint. We get to use our hearts. And when you're coming from love, that is the very deepest well of energy that you can find. And so that's really what this is about, is setting the stage for that and then really honing in on what the 3 targets are. But let's talk about mental game and mindset, because if you got a whole bunch of stinking thinking, as Zig Ziglar said, then it's going to get in your way. It basically becomes like a kink in the garden hose, right? And if you picture water rushing through a garden hose, it's got all kinds of force and energy and power. And then the minute you take that hose and you crimp it, what happens to the water on the other end? I mean, it literally goes, it just stops. Or maybe a little bit trickles out, but you definitely are putting a crimp in the energy, right? Well, that's exactly what can happen if you have all kinds of misalignment up here. If you have limiting beliefs, if you have a lack of commitment or clarity, then you've got a whole bunch of crimps in your garden hose, really. And you're making it harder for yourself. And I know that, we all like to see things out here line up to what our internal expectations are. But the reality of it is that if you change you first, the things around you will change. Write that down. If you change you, the things around you will change. And we think it's going to be the other way around. We think, well, when these things change out here, then I will change. When I feel like it, then I'll start running. Well, when I feel like it, then I'll start eating better. We have to decide what is in alignment with, our highest and best. And then we have to change us. And then we allow those things outside of us to change. And it's such an important flip of the script. And it's super important when you start to talk about this sprint, because you have to get your head in the right space. And I will tell you, I mean, I've had the benefit of doing this sprint over and over, right? I mean, to be honest, I wrote the book on it. I wrote a book on it, right? We just talked about that yesterday. My book, Up Level, is all about this sprint methodology, and you can get that on Amazon. And the proceeds of that book go to, right now, building a well in the village of Clow in partnership with Children's Cup, because that's such a cause that's near and dear to my heart. And right now we have almost half the well funded, you guys, from book sales, which is super exciting. And it only costs $5,500 to get that well built, which is amazing in US dollars, right? It goes so much further over there, but we're getting those people access to clean water, which is incredible. I take a tangent, but all that to say is the book outlines why it's so important to set the right targets, but also why it's so important to have our head in the right space. And because I've practiced this over and over for years, and then eventually decided I probably should write that down and document that, I've had a chance to get it imperfect a bunch. I've had a chance to try things on for size and find the personality pieces. Like I know one of our jump starters, Nina, she finds a lot of energy. And I think she's at work today over in Europe and is probably going to be watching the replay. Hi, Nina. But I know for her, she loves to sprint in the summer. She gets a lot of energy from her summer self. And that is not me, right? That is not me. And so she's been able to bring her personality piece to the methodology. It doesn't mean you have to do it exactly like me, but my goal was to set the stage and show you what was possible. And then you can bring your personality pieces to it and you can make it your own. But the main premise is you're taking an immersive 90-day period, you're getting super clear and focused, you're breaking that into 3 30-day sprints. And you are only choosing 3 targets, right? A physical target, a financial target, and an other. Because so much of the time, what happens in our mindset is we get overwhelmed by all the things that we want to see, do, be, or have, right? And it's so overwhelming that literally like the search engines of our brain don't know what direction to attack first. So picture your mind literally like a Google search bar. Right? You all know what the Google search bar looks like. It usually has cute little graphics to the side of it, and it is just a blank space waiting for your input. Your mind is very much like that Google search bar. It is waiting. It is a blank space waiting for your input, and it wants to know what search results you really want to see crop up. It wants to know with absolute certainty what you're looking for because your mind is seeking direction, right? So if you type into the Google search bar of your brain more sales, right? Healthier business, faster running, losing weight. So many of us type in muddy search terms into the Google search bar of our brains, and then we wonder why we don't get the exact results. Well, Google doesn't know what to dish you up. If you type more sales, it's like, well, what does that mean, Teresa? Is that 1 sale? Is that 10 sales? Is that, 5 little bitty sales and 10 mega sales? Is that the whale of a sale? I mean, what is that? Right? It's not specific enough. It's not clear. And so, think about the quality of your input. So you really do need to spend some time thinking about these things and identifying the things that are the nearest and dearest to your heart. And that's where setting the proper goals will make so much difference, because if you have a compelling why and you are super clear, then you can ride out those speed bumps and those wall kicking moments. You will persevere, right? I mean, I shared with you that for many sprints, one of my other goals was to write the book, right? To finish Up Level. And it took me many sprints to finish it, but I had a compelling why, because I knew that this was something that I was using over and over and over. And until I wrote it down in a book, it was going to keep haunting me. So part of my compelling why, quite honestly, was, oh, for God's sake, like, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? It's not going to get done. And it's just going to follow me around like a little, like Pigpen with his little cloud of dust, right? And Charlie Brown, like, I need to just be responsible for what I want to see happen. And I need to just name it and claim it. And so I made that one of my sprint goals. It took me longer than 90 days. It took me longer than 90 days. In 3 sprints in a row. It took me over a year and a half to complete that project, but it was worth it because now I feel like, oh, wow, now I can just talk about it. Now I can just teach it. Now I can just share it. Now I can use it on my team. Now I can use it, with my clients. Now I can share in such a, much more powerful way. And so partly I attacked that target. What was near and dear to my heart was giving myself a break because I knew it wasn't going to let me go. And so finally it was like, well, I just have to admit what I really want, which is I want to get this done. Right. And so that did get me up in the morning. And I knew that if it was to be, it was up to me. And so I just had to be very clear and very intentional about it. So, yes, change you and the things around you will change. But here's the thing, guys, about the mental game and mindset. I want you to think and really choose today. And you probably already are there because I'm guessing that if you're here for a Jumpstart challenge, one, you recognize that there's something else possible that you can jumpstart to. And two, maybe you've done other challenges in the past or you've sought out resources, personal or professional resources, development resources. And those are my people, right? Seekers, just like you, looking for ways to do it better. And so I am speaking to you. That mindset that led you here is the very mindset I'm asking you to stake a claim to. And that is adopting a growth mindset. There's three really important things with a growth mindset. One is that you have a belief in growth, that you really can change. I hear so many people say, well, this is just the way that I am. I've done the Myers-Briggs profile or I've done the Enneagram, and this is just my personality. This is the way I am. Here's the thing about personality profiles. I love psychometric tools and personality profiles because they give us a baseline for understanding ourselves and sometimes the people around us. But every single one of those personality profiling tools that I've used has a little disclaimer at the end. And a lot of people, I think, don't read the small print, but it says use this as a tool for understanding as a basis for future growth. Right? But recognize that this is not static. This is not set in stone. This is not, plug and play. This is not, Teresa's in this box and here's the profile. No, it just gives me a basis for understanding what my default patterns might be. Right. And then I get to choose if those default patterns are really leading me to the place that I want to be led to. Why is this and how is this related to sales? Guys, sales is one of the most highly rewarded, but also one of the most rejection prone activities on the planet, right? Yes or yes? How many times do you have to get through a no to get to a yes in sales? Many times. If it was a 1-to-1 ratio, there would be 14,000 million people in sales. Right? But instead, it's not. There's a select few of business owners, entrepreneurs, sales masters on the planet that can handle the kind of personal, professional development and emotional and mental management that it takes to handle the rejection. Because here's the thing, you can't rely on other people for your definition of yourself. So the first piece of a growth mindset, and this absolutely has to do with sales, is you have to believe you can change. So if you are a person that gets deeply wounded by that no in sales, then I'm here to tell you that if you want to be successful in sales, then you're going to have to change that. And you do have the ability to change that, right? The growth mindset tells me so. I've seen people literally go from cowering at a doorstep to talk to somebody about their product or service, physically getting ill, nauseous. I have a dear friend of mine who got her master's in divinity, and she was service oriented. She was not sales oriented. She just wanted to help people. She just wanted to work within the church environment, and she was more philanthropic than she was sales oriented. And she was led into a series of activities, and it forced her out of her comfort zone, to the point where she had to constantly redecide to be bad enough long enough to get good at that activity because it was better for her family at a certain point for her to embrace those skill sets. So it wasn't her default. It wasn't in her personality profile. But because she had a growth mindset, she believed she could change, right? And she attacked it with intentionality, right? Which is number 3. So we'll get there. But first of all, you have to believe you can change. That understanding yourself in terms of personality is just a place to start. It's not a place to end, right? And then you get to decide what it is, how you want to show up in the world. I mean, a very small example, the power of mindset. I used to hate olives and green peppers with a passion. Like literally, like if they touched a slice of pizza, I would like shun it, right? Because they're very strong tastes. And so you either like them or you don't, but I did not like them. And I ended up, I went to college in Michigan State, and in the dormitory, they used to use peppers quite frequently in the cafeteria because they were very flavorful. And so, of course, they're making giant pans of turkey tetrazzini or whatever and feeding mass numbers of students. And so they would have a lot of green peppers and a lot of olives. And this is such a random example, but I kept running into this flavor over and over. And I was like, darn it, because I kept having to like eat cereal for dinner because I hated those flavors and so many things. And then I realized that I could change it. I was like, wait a minute, I can teach myself to like olives and peppers. And I did. One, I believed I could. And so I just started intentionally deciding that I was going to show up different. I was going to do something different because I actually wanted access to more variety of food, and it was in everything. So it's such a puny example, I know. But it showed me that I am not a static being. I can look outside of me. I can see if this habit or this default is serving me, and I can make a change. I can decide to embrace something different. And so if that's you, being very sensitive in the sales process and getting discouraged very easily, you can decide to change that. And that mindset is going to go a long ways further in helping you build your business or, attack your goals, right? Number 2 is breaking through limitations. In a growth mindset, you desire to break through those limitations. Those limitations are there, right? They're kind of like built-in kinks in your garden hose, and you're being very intentional about watching for them. And the important, it starts there. First, you just have to be aware. Self-awareness is the key to the growth mindset, right? Well, self-awareness is part of why you're here. You chose to jumpstart with me, to take this challenge with me. Maybe because you want more sales, maybe because you're a go-giver and a go-getter, and maybe that I am too, and so we can do this together. Maybe you just believe in your heart of hearts that there's something better, something different available for you and in your life or in your business, and I'm with you. I'm not only with you, I'm for you. And I do believe that with a growth mindset, you can change. You can become as good at anything you want to as you decide to. So when you change, the things around you will change. And those limiting beliefs, you first have to start being aware of them. There is in the workbook, the JumpStart workbook, some old story, news story exercise. And there is a place where you can contemplate, this is how I used to show up. This is the old me. This is how I want to show up the new me. I want to challenge you to look for that exercise and think about that, because maybe the old you was literally 2 days ago. Maybe it was September 22nd. And now, you got in motion yesterday. You started priming the pump with your goals and targets for this sprint. You're opening yourself up to the idea that something else might be available for you at the end of this 90 days. And I guarantee you there is. In part because your clarity and your commitment will make it so. It will make it so. If you change you, the things around you will change. And I can't say that enough, because when you want something to change out here, the thing to do first is change in here. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but if I want my husband to change something, I got to change me. Wow, that sounds so counterintuitive. Can't I just tell him what to do? Can't I just tell him what irritates me and like make it happen? Well, I can try that, but I don't know how many of you have ever tried that. Tried telling your spouse or your partner, well, if you would just stop doing that, then I would be, so much happier. They don't typically like it so much. A lot of people get very defensive, right? And I've probably been on the receiving end of that at times. But if I change me and I show up differently, then they're going to notice. And it might take a little while, but I guarantee if I want, if I want anything in my external surrounding to change, then the deeper I go with me, the more I focus on being intentional, being mindful, adopting this growth mindset and attacking my limiting beliefs, the more the things around me will change, because I'm going to start to make a series of little decisions that are different. And you guys, that all adds up. That all adds up into raising your vibration and attracting the very best people into your path, right? And that is so exciting, because you can literally change anything in your life that you want to, but it starts here in this little bit of real estate right here. This is the most powerful, most valuable piece of real estate on the planet. You are infinitely more powerful and co-creative than you think. And when you partner from a heart space and get your hands and feet involved with that and start getting in motion and start building momentum, you literally become unstoppable. You literally become unstoppable because you're not relying on external circumstances to define you. I mean, I just had a conversation last night with a business owner out in Colorado, and he's like, I don't pay much attention, to the economy, to what people say about how their businesses are affected by policy or politics or economics. And I said, oh my gosh, I cannot agree with you more. Because here's the thing, I can't change who's on the ballot. I can vote, right? And I can make cast my opinion into that pond, but I can't change those circumstances. But I can focus on being the very best me I can be, and I can focus this team on being the very best team it can be, and I can focus this company on being the very best company it can be. And then as a result of that, we're going to create our own economy. We're going to create our own policy of growth, and growth mindset is at the heart of that, because I believe if we take back that power from all those external sources, that nothing can stand in our way. That we may have to plow through 47 no's to get to the next yes. It's just, no, I don't know enough, or no, not right now. Next. Right? And that's the kind of like unstoppable mindset that I want to help you adopt in this. And so number 3, of that growth mindset. So first of all, was the belief in growth. Second of all, was really breaking through limiting beliefs and noticing the things that are standing in your way. And I guess I do, before I jump to number 3, I do want to back up to that one for just a minute. A long time ago, if somebody wanted to quit smoking, there was a rubber band method. And every time you wanted a cigarette, you would pop the rubber band and it would pinch you a little bit. And you'd be like, oh, and the whole point was it just made you aware, right? I think when you see these limiting beliefs pop up, you really have to be self-aware, and you have to listen to your self-talk. And when your self-talk sounds something like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not sure that's really realistic. Johnny doesn't think I can do that. I've never done it before. These things that pop up in your head, that where you start doubting the thing that you really want to set out to do. Hey guys, I never ran a marathon. I didn't even run. I used to be the kid that hated running so much that I would fake having a stomach ache for PE every single time. In fact, I got so popular in the nurse's office. I was like, oh, it must be Wednesday. Teresa's back here in the nurse's office. Yes. Oh, I have such a stomach ache. Oh, let me guess. It's PE day. Oh, yes, it is. Mr. Yamaguchi's going to make us run around the gym, right? I remember these details vividly, even though, I was probably in third or fourth grade because I hated running. I hated running as much as I hated green peppers and olives. I did. I hated it, but I taught myself to love it because I saw something else in it that was available to me and my default really wasn't serving me. And so I had to break through my limiting beliefs, that I wasn't an athlete, that I wasn't a runner, that I couldn't do it, that that was running was for other people. Oh, the limiting belief that, well, if you run that many miles, I mean, that's crazy, you're just going to get hurt. That's not good for you. Whatever, all the things, right? That takes a lot of time. Are you sure you have enough time to do that? All the things, right? Well, I had to break through every single one of those limiting beliefs. But as a result, I showed up for a running group. I linked arms with other people and I learned how to run. I learned how to run in part because I linked arms with like-minded people that helped me get past many of those limiting beliefs. All of a sudden, I was running with people who would run marathons every weekend. I was like, what? I mean, first of all, I used to think, speaking of limiting beliefs around running, I thought people who ran marathons literally couldn't stop to tie their shoes or go to the bathroom. And so I used to I was like flummoxed. I was like, I don't think I can possibly run 26 miles without having to go to the bathroom. So I guess I just can't do a marathon. I don't know how they do it. But seriously, that was a limiting belief that I had because I didn't understand enough about marathon running. I mean, I'm embarrassed to admit it now, but I showed up for the running group and all of a sudden I saw people tying their shoe and ducking into the bathroom. They set up bathrooms. And I was like, wait a minute. I remember we were training. I was like, wait a minute. You mean I could go to the bathroom and still run a half marathon or a marathon? They're like, yeah, Teresa, you could go to the bathroom. I was like, oh, wow. Well, I think I could run a marathon. Right. But sometimes we have the stinking thinking, we have this disconnect somewhere. We have this kink in our garden hose. And it might be because we think we have it all figured out and we don't. I didn't know a hill of beans about running. I didn't know anything about marathon running. And my perception of it was completely false. So therefore, my limiting beliefs were actually based on something that was completely false information. Where are you holding limiting beliefs, holding yourself back from something with some stinking thinking that you don't even recognize? Just start to be aware of it. When things pop up in your subconscious, challenge it. When you go, oh, well, I can't fill in the blank, challenge it and go, wait a minute. What if I think about this backwards? Or what if I flip this on its head? Or what if I take the opposite approach? Or what if I, and start breaking it apart a little bit. Ask yourself, is this thinking really serving me? If you have a belief that nobody wants to hear what you have to say about your product or service, is that serving you? If you have a belief that people that that you can touch don't have the money. Oh, nobody I know has the money. What? Wait a minute. So you're stopping yourself before you even get started. Right? It's not fair to yourself and you're literally just shutting off all of your power, right? All of your momentum before you even get going. So I really want to encourage you on day 2. I mean, oh my gosh, guys, we are just getting started, but this is such a powerful day. Let's get your head in the game. Get a growth mindset, and maybe you're like me, you got to slough off a little bit of summer thinking, you got to dive full force into the fall. This fall JumpStart Sales Challenge is for you. This is your opportunity to embrace the day, carpe diem, and manhandle the next 90 days. Guys, I want you to put October 23rd on your calendar. That's the end of leg 1. I want you to put November 23rd on your calendar. That's the end of leg 2. And December 23rd is the end of the fall sprint. Guys, this methodology absolutely works, but you gotta play 100%. You gotta be in it to win it, right? You gotta decide what it is that you're going to make happen. So, a growth mindset is absolutely imperative, and you have to believe that that you can change, that you can create different results. And here's the thing: I guarantee you, if you do one little thing different, excuse me, it's going to change something downstream. You're going to get a different result. If you start talking to more people, you're going to get a different result. If you start talking to different people, you're going to get a different result. If you start, moving 20 minutes at night instead of sitting on the couch, you're going to get a different result. If you start, grabbing a blank pad of paper and writing down your priorities or your targets, you're going to get a different result. Anything you change is going to help you create a different result, which is super exciting. And if you pull all these together in this package that I'm talking about, in this format, then super exciting, momentous things can happen. I've seen people literally change major circumstances in their life or business in the course of 90 days. I have seen it. I have done it. And so this isn't hearsay. This isn't something that's just for me. This is something that is totally available to you. But you got to be the ripple in your own pond. You got to start the energy. And that's what you're here today to do. So along with this growth mindset, there's something else that I want you to focus on in your homework. And we started it last night, but it is around clarity. So around these three targets, the physical target, right? So what is it that you want to, that's measurable, that you want to accomplish at the end of the 90 days? For me, with my physical target, a lot of times these have been tied to running events. And I will literally, I believe in creating accountability anchors. Accountability anchors are, putting something on my calendar or telling somebody else about it so that the goal then even more compellingly draws me to it. If I know that I have registered for an event on November 22nd, then I'm going to be working towards that event, right? And so I've already set out several accountability anchors within my sprint. I registered for a 5K. I've started a triathlon training plan for one in the spring. Actually, I've never done a triathlon and I want to try it. I'm a really strong swimmer. I've done a relay. I've done a couple marathons. I've done some half marathons, but the biking part of triathlon scares me to death, quite honestly. But I think this is kind of like green peppers and olives, you guys. I think I can learn to like the biking. So I put an accountability anchor. I registered for a sprint triathlon in March of next year, and I'm going to, launch a training plan towards that goal. And so this sprint for me around my physical targets, I've already put some accountability anchors in place. So what is it for you in the physical category? First of all, what really matters to you? And again, that triathlon for me, why does it matter to me? It matters to me because it's a little bit like the story I told you about my book. I've been wanting to try it for years and years and years. It's just sniggling at my brain. It's holding on to me, right? I was going to register for a triathlon, 5 years ago, and then I didn't. And then 3 years ago, and then I didn't. And then 2 years ago, and then I didn't. And then last year, I think I actually did register for it, and I didn't do a hill of beans towards training for it. And so finally, I'm like, you know what? I think that this is just not going to let me go. And so I think I'm just going to go for it, right? And so I'm putting the wheels in motion towards making that happen. And it's not going to be easy for me. And it is not, it is a bit overwhelming. It is a little daunting. And frankly, I need to break through some limiting beliefs in order to make it happen. But I know that it starts by saying yes and naming and claiming it. So I've written it down. It is in my sprint targets. Write it down what your physical target is. Financial target. What is it for you? Is it a sales goal? Is it a savings goal? Is it a savings goal that happens because of hitting a sales goal? Again, I want you to make this really personal, right? I told you the 20-car story yesterday because that was a game-changing story for me. And if you didn't get to hear it, I'm not going to repeat it, but go back and listen to day one. because that taught me the power of specificity. So you guys, in that Google search bar of your brain, if you say, I want to make more sales, it's too broad, right? If you say, I want to make 3 more sales in the month of October, now you're a little bit better, right? If it's even 3 specific kinds of sales in a specific category, if it's 3 specific kinds of sales with a certain dollar amount attached to it, be as specific as possible. And then what is that going to do for you? What is hitting that target going to mean for you? What's your why, right? For me, a lot of my why for any of these things comes back to these people. This is my family in here. And, my kids, I've got 3 of them, and my darling husband, Kelly. And one of the things that really powers me is I want my kids to see an example of a mom who's fired up and creating the life of her dreams, because I want them to believe that's possible. I want them to see a growth mindset in action. And so for me, there's a lot of it that's attached to being a role model for the kind of behavior that I want to see in the world, right? I want to take responsibility for me in part, and I don't tell them this. I'm just showing them this by resetting my targets, deciding what it is I want to see, and then just going for it, because I think they deserve a happy mom. I think that they deserve, I think my team deserves a happy leader. I think that the people around me deserve a happy me. And for me, I'm a progress equals happiness person. So I've had to stake a claim to what that means. It doesn't mean it's comfortable. It doesn't mean it's convenient. It doesn't mean that it doesn't require numerous conversations with the people around me to communicate why I'm doing this. Like, what are you, crazy, Teresa? What are you thinking about? What are you thinking? Right? Yeah, a lot of times I have to have those conversations, but it's okay, because I'm taking responsibility for me, and I believe I can change. And I believe that if I change me, the things around me will change. And I've seen that happen over and over and over. And so that makes me happy to see that wave in motion. It makes me happy to see that this impact that I'm creating is positively affecting other people's businesses. It's positively. Sometimes I've seen people start writing their book. I've seen people start new businesses. I've seen people move country to country. I've seen people reach out to loved ones they had a rift with for years and years and heal that relationship rift. I've seen people, you have the power to do so many amazing things. And it really just begins with this real estate in here. So I just want to empower you to just really notice what's going on in the mental department, right? So clarity is king. Write down the targets, be as specific as possible. And I'm going to tell you another reason why you want to do that. In the Google search bar of your brain, when you type in specific results, you are going to start seeing the answer to those questions, all around you all of a sudden. And maybe it's going to heighten your awareness of something that you wouldn't have normally been aware of without the specificity and the clarity. So a good example of that, and I know a lot of people have run into this exercise at various personal and professional development events, but the reason it's worthy of being repeated is because there is a part of your brain that you're looking to activate. It's called the reticular activation system, the RAS system. I don't know if you've ever been shopping for cars, but maybe you went out on the lot and all of a sudden you're looking at a red Subaru. And then you are thinking about it and you drive home, and all of a sudden on the road, all of a sudden you see all the red Subarus. Yeah. I remember when I was pregnant, I don't think before I was pregnant, I was ever aware there were so many pregnant people around me. I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's pregnant. No, it's just now I was hyper aware of pregnant people. And so my brain was finding them, right? Just like my brain was finding that red Subaru on the road when I was shopping for a red Subaru. So the reticular activation system responds to specificity and clarity, and it'll start serving up in your field of vision, the people, the resources, the opportunities that you need to satisfy the search that you put in for. So if you say, make more sales, that's too general. If you say make 3 sales in the month of October, now my brain is activated to say, who could be the 3? Oh, is it Susie? Is it Joey? Is it Jimmy? Oh, well, maybe if I talk to Susie on the 3rd and I talk to Joey on the 10th and I talk to, Jimmy on the 22nd, that's all within the month of October. And then maybe I could have those conversations and maybe that, but more sales doesn't cut it. It's not specific enough. And so the RAS system doesn't know what to look for, right? Doesn't know how to name it and claim it. So get super clear on your targets. Take the time. And maybe write down some of those limiting beliefs that are standing in your way. Maybe that old you is responding to some old cues, and you recognize that is holding you back. If you recognize that's holding you back, chop it down. Chop it down like a dead tree. Whack it. You can change it, but you have to choose to change it. You don't have to be limited by any of that stuff in the past. The past is over. And maybe that stuff served the old you, and maybe it protected you, and maybe it served you just fine. But here you are, a new you, a new day, right? And you get to choose what it looks like moving forward. And you get to just ask yourself a set of questions. Does that serve me? Do I want to bring it forward? Is it going to help me get where I want to go? Right? And the thing about sales and this clarity piece is you have to get in front of more people to talk to more people about your products and services. It really is driven by FaceTime, right? More FaceTime with people is going to equal more opportunities to share what you have to offer. We're going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow because we're going to be talking about Mojo. I think it's Mojo tomorrow. Dropped on the floor. Yeah, Mojo. Mojo is super important because it's when you get that confidence and you get that little bit of swagger, and then you get into the flow and you pull that into your conversations, that all the really good stuff starts to happen. So we've gotten into motion. You're going to get your head in the game. You're going to get super clear. You're marking those dates on your calendar. I want you to start writing down those targets, making them super specific, writing down those limiting beliefs, go into the workbook and look for the old you, new you exercise, and post, in any of these channels and let us know how you're doing. I was so encouraged to hear, some of the stories already last night. I had people reaching out to me in email or Facebook messaging me. But I think it's also important not just to share it with me, share it with the groups, share it with the other people that are watching this maybe on replay so that they know you're out there and that you're committed to creating change in your own life and business. That can be super encouraging to other people and make them feel, equipped differently. And also, it's nice to know you're not alone, with this stuff. Like, I'm not the only one with crimps in my garden hose. I'm not the only one that needs a growth mindset. I'm a work in progress too, guys. I'm here walking the walk with you. Every sprint is something different. Every single sprint is something different. And I was talking with Lillian on my team, and I think Lillian, you might be out there, but it is super exciting to see what happens. It's almost like a curiosity factor, like coming down the steps on Christmas morning, being like, what's going to come out of the sprint this year? You guys, it's a real thing. Because we've seen it time and time again. And Lillian brought it up. She's like, I'm just so excited to see what happens. And it's so true. It's like, yes, it is predictable, right? We can predict that change is going to happen. There is going to be a momentum because we've decided together to be committed to creating that clarity and that momentum moving forward. So thank you so much for letting me be your guide on this journey. This growth mindset is at the core of everything that we do at the Diamond Group. I truly believe that business owners of all sizes and shapes should have a sustainable sales and marketing system. And marketing can be very confusing. Sales can be very, very trying. And so, that's what we do day in and day out. But that's really not what this challenge is about. It's for you, the leader of you. Whether you're the leader of your family, the leader of a team, the leader of your community, the leader of your church, the leader of your business. It's for you to manage your own energy so that you can help take everything you do to the next level. You can up level you, and I can up level me. And ultimately, that is the thing I'm responsible for doing. I think that this life is an enormous gift and privilege, and I just want to be a good steward of everything that God's placed in my path, in my heart, in my life as experiences. I want to give back. I want to share, and I want to encourage you guys to do the same thing because you have enormous gifts and talents. I know from talking to every single one of you that there is something unique about you that you need to share with the people around you. And sales is just sharing. It's just sharing. Share the best of you. Share the thing that fires you up at the end of the day, because the people around you need what you have, and the people that you're looking for are already looking for you. And so it behooves you to get super clear about who those people are so that the RAS system in your brain can help you find them. Because it's as easy to find those people as it is the red Subarus or the pregnant women walking around. But your brain needs to be told what to look for. So I encourage you on this journey towards clarity and commitment. Thank you so much for being with me for day 2. Tomorrow we're going to jump into Mojo Day, and highly encourage you to show up live on Friday if you can. Post and participate either way, because there will be some rewards along the path for those who jump in with 2 feet and participate. So super happy to be with you again today.